Hello and welcome to the PublishU Podcast, where we explore the real life stories of authors from around the world. Today, we are talking to Jess Hymas Gant from North Wales about her book, Moments in Mummydom. Jess, welcome.
Thank you, Matt. It's great to be here.
So, tell us a little bit about your story, Jess. Who are you? Where are you from?
Do you know, I used to struggle with that question because I live in North Wales, but I was born in Vienna. My parents were missionaries, and so I travelled around a lot during my childhood. And then we settled back here kind of when I had to stick to school. And and then I kind of travelled again because I studied languages. So I really only settled back here in 1998. I'm in Wales. I work here. I've been married 20 years. I've got 5 kids at home, 4 very grown-ups, tall stepsons who I have to look at where I crick my neck looking up at them. And so that's in essence who we are, who I am.
Wow. So, you've got 9 children, but only 5 at home. And how many countries have you lived in, Jess?
Oh, so I have lived in Austria, in Germany, in Mexico, in Spain, but I've actually travelled, and obviously in Wales, in the UK, but I've travelled far further than that. So yeah, it was nomadic, my upbringing, but I think that's where my writing came about because we used to travel a lot during school time, and so the homework was always to keep a journal. And so I have journals going back to when I was 8 in India, and but that's where I kind of used to, I guess, process what was going on, um, which is how it started off, really. So yeah.
Amazing. So you kind of, yeah, you were like journaling through your life, just writing down your experiences. I mean, journaling is a very powerful way to process our thoughts and our feelings and our experiences.
Yeah, it really is. I think certainly, I think different people have different ways of dealing with stuff or processing stuff. But certainly for me, I find learning, if I write it down, I remember it. And also, I guess that's my way of kind of thinking things through. So yeah, that's certainly how I work, how I tick. Which
Yeah.
I guess
And
is
being,
sort of what happened really. I, the yeah, so social media didn't exist when I was little, but when I started having children, I used to just kind of put a little thing out there. I guess because um, often I was up in the middle of the night when there was nobody else awake, and it was just kind of, is there anyone out there? Just as a way of thinking, is it just me or is this right? You've got so many conflicting things going on when you're a new parent, and it's nice to just know that you're not the only one, really. So I think that was how things started. Yeah.
Amazing. And Jess, with 9 children, you must have some incredible stories of things that have happened. Tell us one of your funny stories, and tell us one of your most, I don't know, one of your saddest stories.
One of my funniest and one of my saddest.
Yeah.
My funniest was, well, probably not one of my funniest, but one. Some days it's chaos, some days it's organized chaos, some days it's just chaos. And I certainly remember when we first started off in lockdown and we were just trying to get our heads around, well, because I thought I was actually on maternity leave, and I thought I was going to have this splendid maternity leave with one child at home, and then 6 weeks into it I had another 4 kids at home, and I was trying to homeschool in Welsh with a newborn, but so my kids, I told them that they needed to deliver a letter that had come for the neighbours. It'd been delivered here, and I was sat down in the kitchen, and I suddenly heard this plonking about on the roof. And my sons had climbed out of their bedroom window onto our flat roof and basically had made an aeroplane out of the letter and were just throwing it into the neighbour's back garden. And I was like, this is the whole new take on hand delivering that I wasn't expecting. So I guess it's I mean, anyone who's been a parent knows it is, they are constantly throwing things at you that you've not quite you think you've got it sussed with one, and then all of a sudden another one comes along who's completely different, and then you realize that actually this is totally winging it the whole time, and you've got this. As you have more children, I guess you have a kind of arson of kind of different ways of dealing with things. So, and you just have to kind of see which works and take one out of the bag and see whether that one works with that child or not. And then, of course, they grow up. So then they're constantly changing and you're changing. So it's never a dull day. It's obviously tasking as well. And I think probably one of the hardest times that I have had is when I lost my mum, and everything in you wants to kind of close down and process it, but having small kids, you can't. You've got to get up and keep going, and so then it's a balancing act between making sure that you're actually getting time to process what's going on in yourself, as well as dealing with day-to-day lives. And so, I think they kept me going through that, but also it was quite a rough time because I was so young, and so it was making sure that I got that time to myself as well. So it would often be late on a night when they were in bed that I would do the processing, really. So yeah.
Amazing.
I guess, and in my book,
when did you decide that you wanted to write a book? Yes. When did you decide you wanted to write a book?
Well, when I had when I had started to put stuff on social media, a friend of mine who was a very old friend of mine contacted me and said, "You need to put this down in a book. This is really funny." And I was like, "Is it?" Because just day to day, I didn't think it was funny at all. Anyway, so that started the idea, but that was like 15 years ago. And then I had basically started to just write things and park them in places. And then things came together, and a friend of mine had done this course called Write My Book. And she was a friend who I had met up with a couple of years back, and we talked about writing book. So she posted about this thing, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And I think that's where I linked up with you, Matt, because it was you who had organised this course. So that was when I guess the idea of writing a book really started to take place. I guess I kind of got an idea that I wanted to, but I didn't quite know how to bring it all together. And certainly when I read the kind of course outline and thought, actually, that will help me really make me do it, so that's when I wasn't expecting at the beginning of the year to have written a book by now. So it certainly happened quite quickly in the end, but it had been there in the background, an idea, but it's
Oh, amazing. So Jess, what was your biggest obstacle you had to overcome in writing your book, and how did the course help you?
Do you know, I think the biggest obstacle was, well, there was quite a few actually. I think the first one was the confidence thing, because especially the type of book I've written, there are a lot of books out there that are like that. And it's easy to kind of think, well, what have I got to bring that's different, But I guess it's realizing that no one is me. I am me and nobody else is. So my take on things is going to be different to other people's take on things. So no one will write like me. I'm unique in that sense, and so are we all. And I think what the course did was really helped me um, structure my time, kept me accountable. Most importantly, gave me another group, a cohort of writers that were going through the same journey. So you kind of relied on that in terms of being able to bat ideas around, and also just know, like, when you're halfway through a long write, that there are other people that are doing it as well, which just helps to know that, and know that you've kind of got that solidity. So yeah.
Amazing. And now your book, Moments in Mummydom, is published globally. So at the beginning of the year, you hadn't even thought about it recently. And then you've written the book and it's now published globally. And my goodness, tell us about this book. It's called Moments in Mummydom, isn't it? Tell us what it's all about.
Yes, it is. So it is what it says on the tin, really. It's the story of one mum, and she's actually looking back on her last year. And it is moments throughout the year that she's gone through. And it's the good, the bad, the ugly, the in between. Um, it's the kind of pressures that we face, not just as a mum, but as a parent. Um, and, there are some funny things that have happened to her. And then there's just the stressy things that happen and some of the harder things that happen. So it's just a kind of snapshot of family life, I suppose. And I've kept her as mummy in it, because I think when you become a parent, you do become just somebody's. In a way, you kind of lose part of yourself. You gain a whole side, but you also lose part of yourself in a way. Like when I think about looking at my, where my kids have got, friends. Well, their parents are so and so's mum in my phone. They're not actually. I don't actually. I know their names now, but initially it was, Alfie's mum or Oshan's mum or whatever. And so I've kept this mum as mummy, I guess, so that anyone can relate to her, really. I didn't want to give her a name in that sense, because I think then you can kind of really identify with her in a much easier way then. So yeah, that's what it is. It's just a take and a snapshot on family life, the ups and the downs, and hopefully it will make people laugh.
Yeah, amazing. So
maybe cry, but
yeah. So people are going to laugh, people are going to cry, people are going to roll their eyes, they're going to roll on the floor laughing, all of that. But Jess, what is your highest aspiration for your book? What do you hope of the impact it has in the world?
Do you know what? So I think impact on the world. I think it's so easy to, at the moment, look at social media and get into a comparison game in terms of, and it can really get you down, because I don't know about you, but my life does not measure it with a lot of what's out there. This airbrushed kind of family thing, it is not like that a lot of the time. And I guess I want it to be a snapshot of real, of just refreshingly real, and also a chance for people to just go, I'm not the only one. That's good to know. And in a way, get solace from that we all, sometimes we get it wrong, and sometimes we get it right. And not to be too hard on ourselves. But also, I would hope that there are just whispers of God's heart for us through that book as well. Nothing too major, but, just to know that actually, for me, it's really important that I ground myself in just my day to day, getting time with God, and just that's what really gives me my structure for the day, and my structure for my head, structure and my wisdom. That's where I go to for my wisdom. So it's just bringing a different take into what's out there, because I think there's a lot of parenting funny books out there that is about using alcohol to cope, and actually that isn't how everyone does it. Yeah.
Amazing, Jess. Well, thank you so much for being our guest today. And thank you all for listening to the PublishU podcast, featuring the real life stories of authors from around the world. If you're interested in becoming an author like Jess, please visit our website, www.publishu.com, the letter U, publishu.com. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, make sure that you subscribe for more. Thank you so much, and goodbye for now.